Oh yeah,
We meet
I'm so
again.
I'm so sorry about last week. It was technical issues which was completely out of my hands.
That's all right. No worries, man.
So I
No
really
worries at all.
appreciate you doing this thing because as soon as I finished the interview, man, I felt like throwing my computer out the window. I was so fucking upset. I
I
was
know the
like,
feeling. I know the feeling. Yeah. No worries at all. I do
thank
it
you.
sometimes. I'm in the studio and I do a take and I record it. I get a fucking good take and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't press record. You know, no, I
It's
know
like going.
exactly the feeling. No worries.
Okay, so we're talking to Richie Faulkner from Elegant Weapons. Welcome to Friday the 13th, Richie.
Thank you. It's been a while. It's good to see you again.
Cut, cut. So I'm going to ask you some warm-up questions. First of all, Richie, as a guitar player, who inspired you?
Well, Hendrix is usually five guys that kind of made the you play guitar and then you get serious about it. But Hendrix was the big one, obviously sonically and visually as well. Just the visual of the guy coming out on stage at the Monterey Pop Festival was just mind blowing. Obviously, he's playing as well. Schenker is another one. He's probably my favorite guitar player alive. As far as influence goes, Zach Wild, Dave Murray, and probably James Hetfield. I think. So those five guys really kind of made me sit up and as I said, you play guitar and you listen to a lot of guys, but those were the five really that really made an impression and wanted me to get serious, I think.
Oh, really? I'm quite surprised actually that you say like James Hetfield. I mean, you can definitely hear Michael Schenker when you're playing and Zach Wild. What about other guitarists from Ozzy Osbourne, like Randy and
Of
Jake
course.
Healy? Any of those guys?
Of course, yeah. I think that obviously there's loads of them. There's people like Brian May, David Gilmour. Um, there's loads of them. Obviously Glenn and Ken from Priest. But I think they were the main five guys when I was younger that I listened to. Dimebag was another one. They really kind of you listen to a lot of people, but they were the ones that you kind of I honed in on in my formative years. And then you get in cover bands and stuff. Then you start taking stuff from like Jeff Beck and Thin Lizzy and all those things. So, but I think they've been consistently the five ones that made me change my headspace. I think and really get serious about playing guitar when I was maybe 12 or 13.
Did you ever think in your wildest dreams of being Judas Priest? Do you still pinch yourself now and think, am I really in the band?
Of course, I still pinch myself. Yeah, I mean, obviously, the longer I've been in Priest, the more real it becomes. But then it's still surreal, that Priest are still going more than 50 years after their conception. Um, yeah, I mean, I joined on the farewell tour just to be considered for that was nuts. But no, I mean, I think you aspire when you're a kid. You always aspire to be in these bands that you listen to. We used to do Ouija boards and stuff, and ask, if I'm going to be in like a band, like a big band and stuff. I remember doing it as a kid, and I don't remember what it used to say, but it would be funny to kind of be able to remember what it said. I wonder if it said something like priest or I don't know. I don't remember, but yeah, I think as I said, you always aspire to be as good as these guys. You practice uh, songs and you learn songs by them. Priest, Maiden, Lizzie, UFO, as I said, and you want to be that good. You practice in front of the mirror with a cricket bat or the tennis racket, whatever it might be. But you don't think you're going to get a call from them to potentially join. It's kind of cliche, but when that call comes, you don't kind of believe it, but it came, and here we are talking about it. And yeah, it's an amazing thing. Just again, just to be considered for that was an amazing uh, honor, really, to be considered.
Right, when you said Ouija boards, did you think you was going to join Venom?
Do you know? I do remember we'd asked because we were into Metallica and Maiden and Priest and Pantera at the time. I do remember asking it, but it didn't make sense. I wonder if it's spelt out JP, but that wouldn't have made sense at the time. If it had said Judas or something like that, but maybe if it said JP, maybe you know what I mean. Maybe it wouldn't have made sense because maybe we were looking for a word or something. I don't know, but. Yeah, we used to do that a lot. We used to think it was great fun doing the Ouija boards and stuff, and it got a bit crazy. One time we were doing a Ouija board at someone's house. Their parents had gone away for the weekend, so everyone bundled around their house and had a party, and we were doing Ouija boards, and we got the apparently we got the devil, and we said stupid things kids do, and we got the devil supposedly, And I got off it, but people started being like rude to it and started cursing and swearing and whatever. And it was a Pantera record, a CD. It was Far Beyond Driven, flew across the room for some reason, and everyone stopped doing the Ouija board after that because we thought we'd obviously put across the line with it. But yeah, it was a weird thing. So I don't know whether I believe in that stuff or not, but it flew across the room and everyone was pretty freaked out, so we stopped doing it.
Right. So, Elegant Weapons, Richie, where did the name come from? And what other names did you have for the band? Is it a project at the beginning, or was it a band? Because people were thinking, is it a project? What was going through your mind when you got this together?
Well, I didn't know what it was at the beginning, really. We had some time during COVID, during the lockdowns. I think there were a lot of people in the same boat, really. They were going through their old files and seeing what songs they had and calling up their producer friends saying, how do I get Pro Tools to work? Because I've got some downtime. And, so I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know whether it was going to be an EP or an album or a collection of songs or a band. I didn't want it to be a one-off thing. Once I got it was an album. It was an album's worth of songs. I wanted to put a band together that sort of goes alongside Priest, and hopefully, if my my ideal scenario was if Priest ever call it a day, if they ever call it a day, because they don't seem like they're going to anytime soon. If that call ever comes, then hopefully Weapons have built up a profile where we can take that DNA and move forward with it. So that was my goal really when I put it together. But the name came from Star Wars really. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi when he gives Anakin's lightsaber to Luke in the first movie. He says it's an elegant weapon for a more civilized age. That's what it is, and it's a reference to the instruments we play. The guitars for me are elegant weapons. They're like these beautiful. I'm looking at them now. They're beautiful pieces of art, but they can be deadly. Um, so yeah, there's a reference to the guitars and a reference to Star Wars, really. So that's where it came from, and I put the band together and we all kind of share the same sort of mindset really. We're all in other bands. Initially it was Rex Brown and Scott Travis and Ronnie on the record, but obviously when the lockdowns were lifted, Scott was concentrating on Priest. Rex and Pantera were doing the Pantera celebration, so I had to put a band together without them. So Ronnie's still in the band, obviously, but I had to get Davey Rimmer from Uriah Heep and Christopher Williams from Accept. And as I was saying, I think we all follow the same mindset. We're all in other bands that have been around for a longer time. And if that call ever came in that they were to call it a day, hopefully we can take the banner from these bands that we've been in. Hopefully we've built up an identity and sowed the foundations with Elegant Weapons and take that into the future. So I think we're all of the same mindset. We're all in these other bands, but hopefully build up Weapons enough so we can take that forward in the future. So that was where it started and where it is now. So the second album is another notch on that bedpost kind of thing. I didn't want it to be a one and done album. So this second record means a lot to me, really, to get to this point, and we're well on our journey, if you know what I mean.
So, getting Ronnie in the band and also Rex, were they your first choice for bassist and vocalist? Obviously, Scott was the main drummer.
Well, initially, I remember, I didn't know who to have in it. I approached Lizzie Hale initially because I love Lizzie and I love Lizzie's voice. She had a load of things going on as she does. She's phenomenal. So we had someone else at the time record it, and then I gave it to Ronnie. What happened was I was talking to Damon Johnson about who to get on the vocals. Damon Johnson from Lynyrd Skynyrd. He's been in Lizzie. He was in Alice Cooper's band before, and I couldn't think of who to get on the vocals. And not only sing, but front the band. Be a front man. Be one of those people that connect with an audience and connect the songs with an audience live. It's an important thing as well. Um, and he said, "What about the guy that sings with Blackmore?" In Blackmore's Rainbow. And Blackmore was doing some Rainbow dates at the time. Uh, I think it was around, I don't know what year it was. It was a couple of years prior, I think, around the same sort of time. And I, I thought Ronnie Romero, of course. Ronnie Romero would be perfect. He's got that classic rock, hard rock, metal voice, but with a modern sort of edge to it and a modern sort of, from what I could gather, a modern mindset. You know, he's moving forward in his own way, but he's got that classic vocal as well. And from then, that was all I had on my mind. And I called Ronnie, and fortunately, he accepted. And as I said, he had the same mindset. Really, I think he was with Schenker at the time, and he understood. You know, one day these guys aren't going to want to do it anymore, and hopefully, we can take this and use it as our band to move forward. So yeah, since Ronnie came up, I haven't really considered anyone else. He was the guy really, and luckily he said yes.
Wow. And so the first album, Thorns for a Halo, came up with the title. And what other names did you have?
We had I had a couple of names. There was it's always tough coming up with band names because and stuff like that because there's no context to the name. You know, there's some weird names out there for bands, but we connect them with the music that they make, and it makes the names cool, if you know what I mean. So you know, the band name and names for songs and names for records. I had one was a good streak of evil, which means like evil's okay. You can do evil as long as it's sort of done in a good way, if you know what I mean. Some people use different things to disguise the bad stuff that they do, you know what I mean? So, but I thought that was a bit too long. And we had one, Horns for a Halo, was named after obviously one of the songs on the record, and I thought it was one of the stronger songs on the record, so we named it after that. It had the two H's, you know, the horns for a halo. Um, so we thought it was kind of snappy and catchy, and went with that. Really, sometimes that works. This record, it was a one word title, and it was easier on this one because it kind of summed up where the band was. We'd evolved as a band. The songs have evolved. The way we recorded the album has evolved. So that was kind of easy on this one. I had one name for this new album that floated around for a while. It was Ronin, which is like a Japanese. I think it's a Japanese warrior that doesn't have any fixed clan, like a samurai. It's a warrior that doesn't belong to any samurai clan, so they're out on their own. So I kind of looked at it like we're all kind of apart from our other bands. So we're all kind of Ronin. We're all kind of doing our own thing. But I thought that was a bit too involved. I thought when Evolution came up, I thought that's more of a fitting title. That fits the band. It fits the songs. It fits where we are. So that was a bit easier to decide on the band name for this one. So the album title for this one, rather.
Right then. So Chris Williams, where was he the under drummer they had in mind to replace Scott, or did you have any other
Yeah,
drummers?
well,
Also, with Rimmer,
yeah.
Dave Rimmer.
Christopher actually. What happened was when we recorded the drums for the first album, because it was during the COVID lockdowns or towards the end of the COVID lockdowns, there was still like travel restrictions and all that. So Scott had a tough time. We had a tough time getting Scott over to record the drums, and I wanted to get the process underway. So I asked Christopher if he could record the demo tracks so I could on the drums, so I could start building stuff like guitars and bass and vocals and putting stuff down. So he came over to the studio. He was local in Nashville. We could come over to the studio and put the drums down. So he was familiar with the stuff anyway. He knew the tracks intimately anyway. So when Scott couldn't do it, he was the first guy. I mean, he's a great friend anyway. Um, he was the first choice. You know, I know Chris. He knows the songs. He knows the band from doing those sessions. So it was a no brainer really to call Christopher. And Davey and I have been friends since 2021. So like 25 years, over 25 years. Um, you know, known each other a long time. We used to play the bars and pubs in London and the UK 4 times a week, you know, so we go back a long way. Um, yeah, and as soon as Rex couldn't do it, Davey was the first guy that I could think of, really. So so obviously both guys are in different bands, so we knew there was going to be challenges with scheduling and stuff like that. But um, they again were of the same mindset that you know if they get the call one day from those bands, they're going to pull back or retire. We're all in the same boat. We want to take this band forward if that call ever comes. So they were the first choices. And fortunately, as I said, they said yeah, they joined up with me and Ronnie, and here we are.
Right then, so the new album, Evolution, who came up with the artwork? Because it's got like you said, the samurai sort of robot with the bird on the cover. Explain the concept between the bird and the robot.
Well, I wanted the robot. The robot kind of symbolizes the human, us really, the human race, and where we could end up. The way we could evolve into the future, but we could evolve into these synthetic AI driven cyborgs type stuff, really. Which some of the subject matter of the lyrics kind of touched loosely on, the internet and AI and where we could be going as a race, loosely. So I wanted that kind of thing on the front cover, and the artist actually came up with the reference point, which is the bird, to reference to signify where we've come from, which is nature, purity, innocence, and all that, and where we could be going to. So that was the bird. I think it was Claudio Bergamin who did the firepower art for Priest as well. He did this, and he came up with that idea. So it was going to be a bird or an apple, or something that referenced nature and purity and where we came from. But I thought the bird was a good one. We went with that, and it was a fairly simple concept, the evolution, where we come from, where we're going, and it was a simple image too. It was not much to it. The background is just red, because I thought the message is kind of strong, so I didn't need anything else to it, and that's what we went with, really. So yeah, that's the message in the artwork, the evolution of where we come from and where we could be going in the future.
Right, because I noticed this album's slightly different from the first one. The first album was more hard rock, heavy metal. This is more hard rock blues. What made you want to go in a slightly different direction for this one?
There wasn't any intent to go any specific direction, really. It was just what was coming out that way. That's what the songs were kind of dictating. There's a few more. Yeah, you're right. There's a few more kind of bluesy riffs on "Thrown to the Wolves" and "Keeper of the Keys" is a bit more bluesy. And that's just the way the band's evolving. Again, the evolution tie in there, and I think we've got the luxury at the moment of evolving. Sometimes when a band is established, um, there's a bit less room for that evolution to happen. We're locked in. This is what the band sounds like. We can't go outside those parameters. But with this, we're still kind of finding our identity, and I think it's a healthy thing. Uh, as you said, it's a bit more bluesy than the first album, but that's the way the band sounds, and I don't think it's a bad thing. The songs are strong. Um, we feel, and that's the way we felt like documenting the band at the moment. Maybe the next album will contain parts of this, parts of the last album. Who knows? But that's part of the evolution of the band.
I like the way that you've gone in a different direction because it shows that like you say, you've evolved and become a stronger unit and got to know each other as musicians working together.
Yeah, and as I said, it wasn't a conscious thing. I don't think we're trying necessarily to do anything specific. We're just kind of doing what comes out and putting down where the band is now. I think it will be a good thing next record to write together. Um, we've performed together, we've grown together like that, and as it's gone at the moment, I've written obviously all the material so far. It would be good to the next stage of the evolution would be great to get together and write the songs together, and see where that takes us. It might show another side of the band. Oh, I know it will, um, and see where that takes us. And that'll be another stage of that evolution.
So, what's your favourite songs, Richie, from the new album? How long did it take to record this album?
It's an interesting question. It took a while. We started the drum sessions, as I said before. The challenge of this lot is getting everyone on the same schedule. So when we got together to do some videos for Horns for a Halo, uh, we took the opportunity to record the drum tracks then. So me, David, Christopher in the studio recording the drum tracks. So that was 2023. So I think I finished the songs in 2022, record maybe 2023, recording them the drum tracks in 23. So we started the process then. Um, Obviously we've all been on tour with Priest and Accept and everyone since then, and it's only now coming out. So it's been we've got to work around tour schedules and stuff like that. So it's taken a while to put it all together. When it was the songs were done 3 years ago, um, and to answer your first question, I can't remember what it was. My favourite songs on the
Yeah.
record. I would say "Keeper of the Keys," um, "Generation Me." Keeper of the Keys has got Adam Wakeman playing Hammond on it, keyboards on it, and I think he really brings the track to life. Come Back to Me is another one he plays keyboard on. Two songs really come to life with that Hammond rotary speaker. Really comes to life. Great performance, and it's not a ballad as such. It's like a mid-tempo kind of mid-tempo rocker, really, like blues rock type thing. Ronnie shines on that one. I think it's a really strong song, great keys on it, and ends really well. Ends the record beautifully. And Generation Me, I think it's kind of the opposite, really. It's kind of like a short, sharp, in your face song. Really set the pace for where the album's going for me on this one. When I was writing the tracks, this was the first one to come together and really set the pace for where the album was going to go. So it was an important one for me to have that to set that benchmark to know where the album's going. So I'd put those two as my favorite, and I'd love to play those songs live as well. Something like "Keeper of the Keys" with the Hammond on stage as well. That would be a great thing to pull off live. So looking forward to that.
I like the song Rapture because it's the instrumental with the Michael Schenker vibe to it, but it's also got a vibe of Mike Amott from Arch Enemy.
I'll tell Ronnie that. I'll tell Ronnie that you like the instrumental because you don't sing on it.
No, I think it's a good song, but you know what I mean. The album's great, but I like that song in general because it's got a really great vibe to it. The guitar playing's shining through.
I appreciate you saying that. The instrumental goes into what's the
Mercy to the Fallen.
Mercy to the Fallen. I always forget that in interviews. I always forget that. So yeah, the instrumental Rupture, it's got like a heartbeat through it. So it draws a little bit of reference to my own experience a few years ago. So I could when I came up with the guitar line on it, it's kind of like a hypnotic kind of loop type thing. And I could envisage someone in a hospital bed, kind of unconscious, kind of fighting for their life, really, hooked up to some machines, cables and tubes and stuff. That's what I can envisage, and the heartbeat going through it as well. And at the end of it, obviously the character in the song flatlines, and then crashes in with Mercy of the Fallen. So I thought it was quite a cool dynamic to experiment with. Even though Ronnie's not on it, he can. If we ever do that one live, he can take a break and have a whiskey or something backstage. But yeah, I just thought it was a cool experience to have on the record, and hopefully the listener will agree.
So the album's produced by yourself and Andy Snape. Is this a team that you're going to be doing in the future? Both of you working together. Obviously, he's done some great performances before productions.
Well, it seems to work well. Obviously, he's got more of a role on the Priest records. Obviously, I don't co-produce those ones, but on this one, it's more of a team effort. But obviously, Andy's more of the technical side. Um, Obviously, he's more of an authority on the subject than I am. But yeah, obviously, we work well together. We get some good sounding records together, I think, and especially for the weapon stuff, I don't see any point changing. We were having a conversation. We were in the studio in February, putting down the foundation for the next Priest record, and it's our fifth record that we're working on together. So, it speaks for itself, really. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of thing. We get some good stuff. I think some strong material, and both in weapons and Priest. I don't see any reason to change that up. I think we work well together, and on stage as well.
Yeah. So touring wise, when you're going to be touring, because I know you've got the big Priest thing coming up very shortly. How is it going to work with you guys with Elegant Weapons?
Well, obviously, we just got to look far ahead enough in advance where everyone's on the same schedule and have a free schedule. So we're looking, I think Priest tie up the European leg on the 21st of September at Hammersmith in London. And then we're looking at putting some weapons dates together after that. So whether it's the States or Europe or wherever will have us, wherever we can get some dates and play the new material, we'll that's what we're going to do. So we're trying to put that together now, and as soon as we do, it will be on our socials. It will be if you follow the band on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, we'll announce that accordingly. So hopefully, not too far in the future, we'll be able to announce that.
What about reviews? What sort of reviews you been getting so far for this album?
We've had one so far that I've seen. I don't know if any
Man's
more
coming.
come
Man's
over.
coming.
Is it? Well, hopefully it's a good one. No, I just it's pretty positive. So, record label sent me one the other day. It was really positive, and to get the first one in, because you never know. You know, there's no you do what you think is the right thing, and you, as I said, you write music. What's coming out of you, you sit down and it comes from nothing. You start the writing process, and as I said, songs like Generation Me come out and set the tone for the flavor of the record, and then you get people like Adam Wakeman and Jared James Nichols playing guitar and keyboard on the record, and you put it together as much as you can with Andy Sneap and the packaging and the artwork, and you put it out, and you don't know, you just don't know how it's going to be received. But you've got to be proud of it yourself. You've got to be satisfied with it yourself and proud of the statement that you're making, and then it's up to the people will decide. So it's always good to get a positive first reaction. So that's great. I mean, what am I trying to say? Not everyone likes the same stuff, and
Yeah.
that's a good thing. But as long as people give it a shot, give it a listen, and then make their own minds up, that's all we can ask for, really. But we're proud of it, and hopefully people like it too.
Exciter Records. I thought it was something to do with Judas Priest. Is it to do with Judas Priest?
Not really. Exciter Records was put together because they took on the first two records by Priest. So
Yeah.
the first two records were owned by Gold Records since eons ago.
Yeah.
So Exciter was formed to take on those records onto their label. So it is really something to do with Priest, but not it's not a Priest. It's not a Priest label, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But it was put together to take on those two albums, and we got talking, we connected, and apart from those two albums, Evolution is the only record on there at the moment. So it's really good. It was attractive to me because I can deal directly with the label. Any creative stuff we have or any ideas we have, anything that's coming up, I deal directly with the label, and the label deals with me. So, and also if we want to do, for example, if we're going to do some dates later on in the year, we can do another push, we can do another release, we can release another single. Whenever we want to do it, rather than being caught up with 1,000 other bands on the label. So I saw that as a positive thing, and an attractive thing, really. So we got together, and it's been working really well recently. So yeah, that's how it came about, really. So it's kind of in the Priest family, which we both like, and yes, going really well.
Well, Richie, I want to thank you for doing this interview. Do you have anything to say to the people watching this on YouTube?
Well, yeah, thanks obviously to all the fans that know us from the first album, and all our other bands, and supporting us through the few years we've been together. Hopefully you like the second album, and for all the new people that haven't heard us before, I hope you dig it. And yeah, drop us a like on the socials and follow us, and we'll let you know about those tour dates. And hopefully Jason remembers to record this one. I'm only joking. No.
Please. Don't fucking curse me.
No, all good. No, Jason, I appreciate your time, man. Thanks for your support as well, man. So, yeah, thanks to everyone that has given us support, and hopefully support in the future. Okay.
Keep in touch, my friend. God bless you, and let's hope this interview's not cursed.
All right,
Thank you, mate.
Jason.
Happy Easter.
You too, mate. Have a good weekend.
Cheers. Thank you, my
Bye.
friend.
Bye,
Bye.
mate.